Having briefly surveyed the different uses of the word jihad and its development, I will move to some objections that Islamic apologists will make to defend the doctrine of jihad. The first objection is that jihad refers to an inner struggle. This is obviously correct. The word jihad just means struggle. The struggle can be of a different nature, but in the first video, I demonstrated that the overwhelming weight of Islamic sources places the context of jihad primarily in terms of holy war. Objection number 2, physical jihad is the lesser jihad. Spiritual jihad is the greater jihad. Now, this is also correct. Scholars conclude, for example, in Reliance of the Traveler, that this is in fact the case. But the problem is, Islamic apologists try to smuggle a moral distinction between these two and say that physical jihad is the lesser jihad morally, and the spiritual jihad is greater morally. Therefore, Muslims are called for the higher moral task of greater jihad, that is, spiritual jihad. The problem is that's not correct at all. In Reliance of the Traveler, Muhammad is quoted, "We have returned from the lesser jihad to the greater jihad." And the idea that's being communicated here is that the lesser jihad may one day end. The world may one day be conquered by Islam, but after the last soldier returns from that last battle to his house, he will still have the greater jihad, that internal spiritual struggle to deal with. And so spiritual jihad, the internal struggle, is greater in the sense that it is against spiritual or supernatural powers, and that it cannot be defeated by weapons, and that it will always be fought within the spiritual lives of the Ummah. The final defense of jihad that I'll respond to for this third video is when Muhammad is asked, "What is the best jihad?" Muhammad replied, "A word of truth in front of a tyrannical ruler." An example of what this means is Reliance of the Traveler, section Q 2.5. This is in the section talking about censure, which is simply forbidding that which is wrong and permitting that which is right. Here's a quote, "There is no disagreement among scholars that it is permissible for a single Muslim to attack the battle lines of unbelievers headlong and fight them, even if he knows he will be killed. But if one knows it will not hurt them at all, that is, the unbelievers, it is unlawful. In these cases where one is punished for forbidding wrong, then one is not obliged, but recommended to do such a thing. In cases like these, where one does not have sufficient resources to prevail, the best jihad is simply to speak the truth in the case of injustice." This narration has a very specific application when Muslims are a minority, and in no way invalidates the call of the Ummah to holy war for Allah.